it just opened it. It didn't close it. I'm like, how am I going to do this? And we're going 75 down I-25, and I'm like, I'm going to have to crawl back there. And then everybody behind us is going to think this is some action movie, and I'm trying to jump on their car. So I climb back there, and I'm sitting in the little cargo spot, and I just wave to the person to reach up and grab it. And the person literally locks them up, like, and it's like, and my buddy's like, what did you do? I was like, I waved. He's like, why did you wave at them? I don't know. It seemed like the thing to do.
Those are nice. Really? They're electric? Is that 4 doors? No. It's one big door.
Are you okay?
I just wasn't qualified for room.
You're just funny.
Make an exception. Because that'd be cool to order a lift and it's got the big seat that you're like, yeah. Am I in the dark?
Wait.
Sorry.
This plate is very well lit.
Yeah,
You should just stretch.
Sound like this for the conversation.
That's even creepier than you got the.
Oh.
You could turn that light.
When are they coming out? Do you know?
It's supposed to be 2020 is what I heard. That's the wrong way. Wrong way.
Ow.
There we go. That's.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Now I can see you. Can't see that thing.
Hey, I'm Pastor Bill, and
Now I can't see her.
Okay, why did you do it?
I see this in the dark.
Couldn't see him on the camera.
Why'd you do it, Bill? You're being interrogated.
I know, right? Where'd it go?
Oh, now it looks like a creep show.
It's pretty bright.
Oh, I can't see my place.
Now, can you just put it right here in front of me,
I got an idea.
and it'll bounce off the table and
There
hit
you go. With that.
a little bit more. That's too far. That's probably good.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Putting too much in my face, I'm gonna whitewash, and they're gonna be like, "That boy's Irish."
Yeah, he's got a red beard.
Yeah, ain't no doubt. That boy's Irish. All right, so this week was the last of our Proverbs series called the 31 Woman. Except I didn't put the word "though" in there. I just put 31 Woman. Purses?
Yes, 31 is a company that sells purses.
Really?
Like Scentsy does for candles
Oh, okay.
and smell good stuff.
They sell smelly purses?
No, they just
Sell expensive purses.
and coolers and all kinds of totes.
You know, if you don't open your purse and you aren't overwhelmed by the smell of leather, then it's probably not worth buying.
That's why I don't carry it.
I have the same rule for my belt. If I put on a belt
And it doesn't smell like
and it's
leather.
brand new and I don't go to the restroom and pull down my pants and get overwhelmed by the smell of leather first, then that was a bad investment.
Agree.
Don't look at me. I didn't create him.
As a matter of fact, I'm gonna get some fake leather smell for my car. For you between Uber and Lyft rides. Put it on circulate and spray a little bit of it down there where it sucks the air up so that it pushes that leather smell through the car before I pick up somebody.
Are we on the air?
Yeah. We're live. Live from Richland Hills. This is
Going to the bathroom.
Sunday night. Live.
At the Ekklesian.
It's kind of like Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
I ain't the boss. So I don't care.
Need to get some
Here's your host, Bill Shay.
Pastor Bill.
Pastor Bill.
Pastor Bill.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Shay.
All right. So, did anybody have anything they want to say about this week's podcast?
I enjoyed it. In the lady life.
She did enjoy it.
It was
She's
ladylike.
commenting this
Did you
morning
hear
when it
that?
went off.
Roxanne's going, please. My husband don't want me to do all the things.
I went to go and look it up and read it because I don't remember the list of things in there, but my Apple app wouldn't work in the car.
You're supposed to get up early and do all the stuff and take care of all the people and go to bed late.
Feed your slaves.
So does the Proverbs 31 woman invest in marijuana?
I don't know.
Colorado she does. States are,
I don't know. California.
no, California's legal for medical right now.
All right.
I really liked.
I thought Texas for medical was only.
I really liked that it was originally a poem with the letters.
Totally against it, and then it changed
I don't understand the
idea of medical purposes only.
Just to be cute.
Reduces pain.
Like we do this, like, you know, it's like
And actually,
Yeah, we're gonna say like Merry Christmas, and then N will be one word, and then one sentence.
Yeah.
ABB.
well, I got at the health store.
Well, these are poems where. Yeah, but it's the same thing, except instead of each letter just being one word, it'd be the beginning of a whole sentence. That's part of the poem.
All of the joint values, when you know, it's a phrase. It's not
Okay,
just like
so that's an acrostic.
Yeah, and
It may
spells
not
out
be a
leadership.
poem, but it's an acrostic. Yeah.
Whatever that drug
And then Proverbs 31 verses 10 through 31 was originally a Hebrew acrostic. With the Hebrew alphabet, starting each phrase of the poem. And so I thought that was really interesting information because, you know, it kind of lends to the idea that it's not a list of expectations for wives of serving their husbands and setting this example. It's more of a cutesy, like, oh, that's cute, look what they did,
kids
kind of a thing, you know?
that have seizures.
It's still a good guideline. I mean, I think the message of it is don't be lazy. You know, get up, take care of your house, do
Becky's brother has seizures.
what you need to do, don't be lazy.
But
So that's the wisdom that you glean
that's him.
What if he didn't know?
from that
No,
passage.
that's just him.
It's just the point of the passage. To
What if he
glean wisdom.
What if he
And that's the whole point of the whole book. Proverbs.
takes his medication?
Maybe if it was a
Right?
dropper.
Goes to the marketplace and sells purple linen.
Yeah.
She probably had to diet herself.
Probably.
You have to do something.
And women hate dieting.
I saw this sentence.
Listen to their I don't mind dieting.
Right?
You said she probably had to diet herself, and I said, and women hate dieting.
They love dieting your hair.
They were dieting their hair.
Diet.
You said diet.
You said diet.
It
And we
made sense.
played off of diet.
Only a little bit of sense. Not much.
That made a little tiny bit of sense. That didn't make any sense at all.
Secretly praying for
Oh, I
all.
don't know. It's just, it's really sad.
Secretly, very secretly.
I do the same thing.
So I think one of the ideas that I gleaned from the Proverbs 31, this section of Proverbs 31 is the idea of, I talked about in the first paragraph, you drift towards your distraction. And then you've got this whole list of things that's an acrostic. And to me, it's more of a treatise on don't get distracted. And there's all of these things that you can do that benefit the family, that benefit the woman, that benefit her husband, that benefit relationship. And to me, it fits in that same line. And it reminded me, I didn't put it in the podcast, but it reminds me of a story that I was told by a youth pastor once. His name was Scott, and he was talking about when he was a kid. He grew up on a farm. His family was farm people, and they'd go out when it was time to plant, and they would send him out with a handful of seeds, and everything would already be tilled, so they basically just have to go out and just kind of go like this while they were walking. And when he was first doing it, he's looking down, he's looking at the seeds, and his rows are all like this. And eventually, his grandfather or his uncle, it was either grandfather or uncle, came up to him and he was like, okay, so you're getting distracted. And that's why you're going like this. And the way we're making straight lines is you need to pick a mark on the opposite side of the field that looks like it's a straight line from where you are. And when you're walking, you just keep your eyes on that mark. Don't get distracted by your seeds. Don't get distracted by whatever else is doing. Keep focused on that mark. And you'll make a straight line when you're planting every time. So it reminds me of that story where, you know, wisdom is that mark in our day-to-day lives. And it's easy to get distracted by this TV show and that TV show and this movie and that movie and the ideals that these people are trying to force on you and the ideals that these people are Facebook and in the mall and all these distractions. We need to focus on that mark and just look at that as we walk through those daily lives so that we're not distracted off of the course of wisdom into this distraction or that distraction.
So are you saying the things that it would say to do would be distracting?
No, but I would say when you step back and look at it as a whole, you can easily see how all the stuff that's important in a woman's life, all of those things could be a distraction from the importance of her life, which is to love and support her family, to love and pursue God, to, you know what I mean? Like, there's more important things than all these little tasks. Go sell linen and get up and cook breakfast and, you know, polish the silver and feed the dogs. And I'm getting off on Cinderella here, but
the point isn't to check off the list. The point is to do this.
yes. And while these things are all good things to do for your family, they're all good things that need to get done, there also easily can be distractions from the point of the rest of the book, which is pursuing wisdom and entreating wisdom and romanticizing, you know, romancing wisdom, building that relationship with wisdom. So that's my takeaway in this, the last entry of our series on Proverbs.
What's the new series?
Well, this is kind of it's not a new series. This one's kind of an in-between, but then there is a series that leads to a two-part series after that. But next episode's called Ghosting.
So is
Oh, that should have been the Halloween episode.
We're not talking about ghosts.
each verse begins with a letter of the Hebrew alphabet?
Not each verse, because the verses didn't come until much later. But each, in the original language, each phrase starts with the subsequent letter of the Hebrew alphabet.
And how many letters? Did it use all the letters?
Yes.
And how many letters are there?
I believe it's 22 letters are in the Hebrew alphabet. Yeah.
That's interesting. So Solomon wrote that, right?
No, this particular is Lemuel. I can't remember. It says at the beginning of Proverbs 31, it says a letter to the son of da-da-da, and yeah.
Oh, Lemuel.
There you go, Lemuel.
Yeah.
No, I like Lemuel.
Yeah. I was trying to go from memory, and I'm like, can't remember. Yeah.
He's a French Hebrew.
It's from his mother.
Yeah, a letter to from
A letter to Lemuel from his mother.
something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we talked about before, like Proverbs is a collection of writings.
Yeah.
Not necessarily one writer that sat down and wrote it from start to finish.
Yeah, because I remember the very beginning of it doesn't even talk about women. It talks about
Yeah, the first 9 verses.
don't drink alcohol because alcohol is for the poor and downtrodden and not for kings and
It's beneath you,
wives.
son. It's beneath
Yeah,
you.
it's beneath you. You must raise yourself up to a higher standard. And then some other stuff in there too.
Yeah.
everybody does kind of use that as like, okay, you're not this woman, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, and that's not the point. The point isn't to create a standard of judgment.
That's a guideline. You know, he's really good, you know, to do this or do that.
But if she's talking to her son, if it's a woman writing a letter to her son, then she's telling him what to look for in a wife, right?
Maybe I would think that would be my thought. Yeah.
What do you?
Well, the commentaries talk about it being included because of the belief that the author is talking about the attributes of wisdom that the son should look for to recognize in life. That it's wise to do this, that it's wise to do this, that it's wise to do this. Apply those abstractly to every area of your life, not directly one-to-one relation with actual activities. But as far as what the actual original author intended when they wrote Proverbs 31, before it got included in the book of Proverbs, we don't have any extra details to really narrow that down. Yes, other than it was an acrostic. But to include it at the end of a book that's all about wisdom, that's all about seeking wisdom and learning wisdom and pursuing wisdom, that's why the commentaries attribute that understanding to it. Maybe it's just being repurposed by Solomon in this manner, and it meant something else originally. We don't know. But for the last 200 years, it's been commented on in the commentaries as abstract ideas about wisdom, which really had me questioning, because the whole Proverbs 31 woman thing, like, where did that come from? When did that start? When all these commentaries back for 200 years don't talk about that at all. And yeah.
I mean, we've all heard it 100 times. Google knows all. Not all. Google knows where your house is. That's all that matters.
That knows where a lot of
And another thing that surprises me is like marriage, views on marriage. In my commentary, my Matthew Henry's commentary from late 1800s, he makes mention of his fear that one day marriage will be seen as a sacrament, as a holy union between two people instead of just a civil arrangement. And you're talking about, this is a bishop of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And he's saying, it's my fear that one day people will see marriage as a holy union. And I'm like, so what did you see marriage as then in the 1800s? And he's like, they're going to stop seeing it as a civil arrangement between two people and see it as a sacrament, a holy union. And I was like, views definitely change over the years.
Where did you read that?
It's in the... It's called the 18... I can't remember what year. The year is in the title, and it's the whole commentary of the Bible by Matthew Henry, or Matthew Henry's commentary on the whole Bible, something like that.
And that,
18 something.
and so that was his comment?
Yeah. Was that he was afraid one day people were going to see... What am I reading? Oh. Proverbs 31, the expression first appeared in print in the late 1970s, and it has since attained widespread use in conversation and in Christian literature written for a popular audience. The term seems to have originally referred to the specific woman in Proverbs 31, but within a few years, the term was being applied to any virtuous Christian woman. So this whole Proverbs 31 woman is really, really, really young. 1970. Anyway, so yeah, in the 1800s, the church believed that marriage was a civil union between two people. nothing more than a contract.
And that would have been like the Church of England or Catholic Church?
He was a disgraced Catholic bishop who really hated the Pope and wasn't fond of Jews.
That was before the Protestant Reformation, Martin Luther?
Can't remember what year Martin Luther was.
Yeah, I know.
I don't have my phone.
57
This is
or
much easier with my
I
phone.
believe Matthew Henry's commentary was written before the Protestant Reformation.
Most of what Matthew Henry says, I really like, and then he goes on these rants about the Jews, and I'm like, all right, dude, I'm just gonna scroll through this because you're way off base here.
Yeah.
I have a blogger that I really liked, and the other day he went off and said something really stupid, and I thought, why are you saying stupid stuff? I love you.
When?
So before Matthew Henry.
1600s? Oh yeah, it was 500 years ago. It's 500 years ago, right? It's the 500th anniversary.
And then Matthew Henry will go off about the Pope, and I'm like, preach it, brother, preach it. Now, he's more nasty towards Jews than he is the Pope. But.
Yeah, well, I probably wouldn't be taking too much weight on his comments. And, you know, it sounds like he's pretty biased in areas.
One bad apple doesn't really ruin the whole bushel.
Well, as long as you got 6 other commentaries that you're reading from.
Yeah, I always cross-reference.
But to be honest, the majority of Christian modern literature and everything comes from Matthew Henry in some way or another.
Matthew Henry was
It pretty much all modern writing, all seminaries.
no one has influenced modern theology more than Matthew Henry, other than a man named Origen, who lived during the First Council of Nicaea, but wasn't invited. Yeah.
Matthew Henry's commentaries are often included in Bibles and everywhere.
Especially in the Christian Standard, there's a lot of stuff written about Matthew Henry.
But it's definitely not the only one. It's very, because I grew up KGB only, and I know
KGB.
But it was a common thing to hate Jews
Oh yeah.
for a very, 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 very long time. It's only recently that Christians have
Figured out.
had a softer heart for the Jews.
Why would they have hated them back then?
Is that supposed to make sense?
It was the common belief that the Jews were responsible for the death of Christ,
Oh,
and so they were hated by Christians.
Well, without the death of Christ.
I didn't say it made sense.
Yeah.
We didn't say it was logical. It was just.
I don't agree with it.
Said it was
What
common.
if, what if they hadn't been responsible for it and he didn't die? Then what?
Well, it would have just been the Romans. But because the thought process was, if the Jews had sided with Christ, the Romans would have then killed him.
The Romans still would have crucified him.
So it would have been the Romans' fault, and we could have blamed the Romans. But you turned your back on your own people. That's why, for many, many years, often Christian, and that's why, to recent years, like the last 20 probably, 20 or 30, Jews have started to really come into the Christian churches. Because before that, Jews were taught Christians hate you, Christians were taught Jews are idiots. And so there was always this divide between Jewish people and modern Christians. Like the term Messianic Jew is not really that old of a term.
It's pretty relatively new, yeah.
Yeah.
Connie, you said you had a question? Before we get too far removed from what it was?
Oh, it's a really stupid question. Oh, it's so stupid.
Sometimes those are fun.
I don't want to say it. So, the Roman Empire, that they've been talking about, the Roman Empire that was so big in the Bible is Rome in Italy, right?
Yeah.
Now it is, yeah.
Yes, that's pretty much all that's left.
Okay.
It was so big that literally the sun never set on the Roman Empire, because no matter where you were in the world, no matter what time it was during the day, it was daytime in some part of the Roman Empire. Yeah.
So now that is confined to what is Italy? Rome?
Well,
I mean, was Rome bigger? Was it something else?
Well, the Roman government doesn't exist anymore. It's not a thing. We have a place called Rome, and a,
That's what I'm wondering.
Italy,
Is that part of Rome, the Roman Empire in the Bible?
yes, that was the seat of the Roman
Okay,
Empire.
that's what I thought. But then I thought they said something at church a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, wait a minute, what?
The seat of the Roman Empire, when it's split, the seat of the more predominant Western Roman Empire was the other one was Constantinople, which now we know is Istanbul.
In Turkey.
It's in Turkey.
Yes.
Okay. That's what
Like
I
the
was
song
wondering.
says.
So when the Roman Empire kind of killed itself, because that's what happened. It killed itself, just like all of the other empires except for America have done. It was completely destroyed. Like everything that was Roman was literally torn apart. When that really didn't happen in the city of Rome, because that was the government seat. That's where they had most of the army for the Western Roman Empire was in. So they were able to kind of fight that off and defend it. But as you can tell, things still happen. Like the Colosseum got really messed up, but it was actually a thing.
That's what I thought, but then I got confused for a minute.
It covered most of Europe and most of Africa and a little bit of Asia.
And they were pretty much replaced by the British Empire, which now is just that one island.
Okay, so who controls Italy now?
The Pope.
The Italians.
The Pope. No, Pope doesn't control Italy.
The Pope controls Vatican City.
Yeah, controls the Vatican.
I know.
All the Catholics around the world. Italy is a country and they have their own government.
A Vucic country.
And really, really good wine.
Yeah.
And
Sicily,
really, really good
Sicily is where all the mobsters are.
Okay. So
They're
there's a
very
little
nice.
geography thrown in there.
Yeah.
I would like to.
Current events, Venice is underwater.
What's underwater?
Venice.
Oh yeah. All floating. Global warming.
Well, they're
Global warming.
mostly underwater anyway.
Yeah, but now we're
Yeah,
talking
now-
instead of the first floor being, we're looking at the fourth floor being the first floor.
Who
got
would
boats,
build
right?
a city on something like that anyway? Who would build a city on the water?
The Romans.
The Romans did.
Mexico City, Jacksonville,
Say
Florida,
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
was lost.
Louisiana. I was trying to say Louisiana. I
The,
can't do
the
that.
library in Mexico, they keep having to add more steps to get down into it because it continues to sink
Oh,
in Mexico City.
The city of Venice was actually an old Roman aquifer. The people that built their houses and stuff there were fishermen. So Venice used to be a fishing village back during the Roman Empire. After that, people just started saying, like, nobody really wants to come here. I'm going to build my house here. But then they don't realize that after a while, even the pontoons will start to break down and their house sinks.
Yeah, it sounds like New Orleans.
Yeah. Why
Yeah,
would you
as
build
long
a
as
city
it-
below the water
As long
line?
as these pumps keep on working, we got a nice house.
I would never build my house.
land was real cheap.
Yeah. Fire sale prices.
Blood prices.
Yeah, blood sale.
All right, so we talked about Matthew Henry, and back to where we were before geography.
Do we know where we were?
Matthew Henry has been probably the most influential since Origen. Origen was the most influential since Paul. You think Martin Luther was influential, but Martin Luther basically just picked up the work of Origen and made the world pay attention to it.
What's origin?
It's a man. His name was Origen. No, it's his real name. It's his given name. Was Origen.
That's confusing.
That's why you shouldn't name your kid.
He was the first person to. He was the first person to openly preach that the Trinity is a thing. He basically everything we think of as Protestantism. That was Origen, and he was preaching it when they were calling the First Council of Nicaea.
When was that?
300?
Council of Nicaea.
Was it 300?
Huh?
300? In the 300s.
Somewhere
Third
around
century?
AD?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it would have to be AD if he's preaching the Trinity.
Yeah. 325.
Oh, he was a prophet. This is what's to come, the Trinity.
So he was kicked out of the church at large because he.
Large? Is that a city?
Large city.
Churches had started coordinating, right? And he was kicked out of the club because the churches would throw themselves lavish parties where only the church leadership were invited, and they would spend just enormous amounts of money on just food and gifts and just waste, right? Instead of using the money to help the poor and to further the ministry and things like that. And so he was a really outspoken critic of all of that, and that's why he got excommunicated from the larger church at a whole. Which is why Protestantism didn't take off then. It didn't take off until Martin Luther.
So he's kind of a precursor of Donald Trump.
No. Martin Luther.
What?
Martin Luther.
He's a precursor of Martin Luther.
Oh.
The one that nailed the things to the wall, to the door. His thesis.
Yeah. What was it? 7?
90?
90?
What?
90 something.
Yeah, they were kind of upset when he did that. It was like upsetting the apple cart.
If people hadn't been remaking his teachings, reprinting his teachings, that wouldn't have done anything. When he nailed those to the door, that would have been the end of the event. Except then people started copying his teachings and spreading them. And that's really how it took off. It was the first social media campaign.
Yeah.
Did they have Facebook back then?